And we will begin with the ones that are more physical. The idea of the ships that have been being used by the Greys and the ships that are being used by Pleiadeans, these are, though advanced, manufactured vehicles. Their techniques may be very advanced compared to what you are used to using to create vehicles, but they are nonetheless manufactured vehicles and serve their purpose at this point for those particular civilizations. After the physical level, there is the idea of more advanced manufacturing, and this covers what you are recently referring to as the tic-tac shaped UFOs that have been spotted on some of your Air Force cameras and rising up out of the oceans from their underwater bases under the ocean floor. The tic-tacs are mostly inhabited by the hybrids that will eventually come to live among you. The reason for the shape is because not only do the so-called tic-tac UFOs travel in space and through the air, but they are also submarines because of the underwater bases under the ocean floor. They are very advanced in terms of their manufacturing techniques, but this is what you will get used to seeing the closer you get to the idea of the initial contact of the hybrids who will live among you. In terms of the hybrid children and the Yael, they are using these craft for a variety of purposes, but that is who they represent. Then you have the quasi-physical crystalline crafts such as our own, the triangles, which are grown on a force field, a type of crystalline substance that is nanotechnological and can take many forms depending upon what is required inside the craft. And these belong to our civilization, the Sasani, and are used by a few other hybrid civilizations and a few other civilizations not hybrid. But these are more quasi-physical. They are conscious in and of themselves, what you call artificially intelligent, even though intelligence is not artificial. But they are connections and representations to and of our higher minds. Thus, those that occupy them are linked to the craft, mentally, telepathically, speaking to their own higher mind, thinking their thoughts, and the craft will follow those thoughts in its courses of navigation and relocation from star system to star system almost instantaneously. Then you have those craft that are etheric in nature, which is more of an idea of a electromagnetic realm between physical and non-physical reality, where beings might choose to form a kind of a craft, very simple, but made out of electromagnetic energy, not really physical as you understand it, which allow them to travel interdimensionally very easily. So certain beings that inhabit the interdimensional byways between physical and non-physical reality may often represent themselves with these electromagnetic energy crafts that you will see doing many different kinds of things, exhibiting qualities that you may not quite understand or might wonder how it is possible for a physical craft to do what they're doing. Like they might seem to change size. They might split into multiple crafts, so on and so forth. These are not physiological crafts as you know it, but electromagnetic in nature, almost more like a spirit version of a UFO, or as you are now beginning to call us, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Nevertheless, they're mostly from the realm of the lower astral and spirit realms that are close in vibration to physical reality, but are not in and of themselves physical. And then finally you have what we might refer to as light craft, which are truly, purely energy, made of light, and you see them now and then, and again, they can come and go, appear and disappear very quickly, can take many forms, many shapes, but are made of light, are not physical in any way, shape, or form, and are more representative of higher levels of consciousness that may wish to observe or enter your dimension of reality temporarily, to take stock, to observe, to notice, to send energy, vibrations. So the idea of these types are what you most commonly will see. And again, as we said, both the triangles and the tic-tacs, as you call them, the submarines, will appear more frequently now, over and over in different locations on your planet, until you get used to us. And the tic-tacs will be the one that carry the hybrid children and the hybrid beings who have underground, underwater bases under the ocean floor. So they are here preparing to live among you and will eventually become much more common in your skies as things unfold, as things progress toward the idea of open contact. So these are the types of UFOs you will be dealing with, and the types of beings within them that you need to know about for the moment. For these will be the types that you will encounter more often than others for now. Eventually there will be other UFOs from other civilizations, but we will address those ideas at another time. So we thank you for allowing us to share this information about these different types of craft who are visiting you, who are interacting with you, and how they will become much more frequent, much more common in the near future. In return for the gift you have given us in allowing us to share this information with you, I ask at this time, in what way may we now be of service to you? You may begin with your questions and dialogues if you wish.
Okay. And this person is asking, oh my goodness. You stated that all the agreements have been made pertaining to our personal encounters with ETs. So why do we work with permission slips for contact experiences? Are permission slips just speeding up the process for our agreements?
Yes, you still have free will in terms of how you experience the agreements. The fact that agreements have been made doesn't necessarily always mean that every single specific detail has been laid out. You are still allowed to determine for yourself through your free will exactly how you might want to go about experiencing that idea if such an agreement exists. So you can even change your mind and not experience the idea of the contact. The idea, again, is that your free will is respected in that context. So the agreements are fulfilled by various means, and yes, permission slips can, based on your belief systems, accelerate some of those things. Permission slips can, by various agreements, even slow down some of those things. So it's about how you want to go about fulfilling the agreement if you still wish to. The idea of your agreement to have contact with extraterrestrials is not quite the same as the idea of the agreements to experience certain things in your physical reality in terms of your lifetime, the things that are representative of your themes and your challenges. Experience and interactions with extraterrestrials can be folded in to the idea of some of the themes of your exploration, but by definition, we are a little bit outside your venue, outside the idea of your timeline, until such time as enough of you make an agreement that encounters with ETs actually are part of your overall agreement, your overall timeline. That's kind of what permission slips are all about, is getting you to a point, if you're so willing, where the idea of encounters with beings in other realities can actually be seen as part of your natural timeline, part of your natural agreement. So that's part of the process, and why sometimes permission slips can assist you in getting used to that idea and bringing our timelines and your timelines together in a single mutual shared timeline experience.
Okay, and this person is asking about the soul and the soul tribe. She says, I understand that we are eternal beings. Is our family, parents, kids, pets, etc., always going to be with us? Are we all part of a soul family and go through these experiences together?
Yes. Now, again, you can spin off and go have an adventure by yourself if you really wish to. That doesn't necessarily include the idea of other members of your soul family. But the idea is that you're still always connected and you'll always come back and recognize the family. So, in a sense, yes, you're always connected. It doesn't mean you can't have your own independent adventures.
And this person is asking, what is the source of sadness and can it be avoided? Should we be striving for happiness or will it simply come to us if we follow the formula?
Sadness is the result of a belief and a definition of disconnection from source. Disconnection is the idea. If you understand you cannot be disconnected, you cannot feel sadness. So in the idea of creating certain limitations for yourself, for your consciousness to experience, including the experience of disconnection, even though you can never actually be disconnected from source, you can experience the idea of that disconnection as a kind of loss, and that can promote the experience of sadness. But yes, if you understand how the formula works and you apply it precisely, then you also have the understanding, based on knowing how things work, that you can never be disconnected. And thus there is no reason to experience sadness in that way. So by really precisely following the formula, it is highly unlikely for you to choose to experience sadness.
Okay, and this person is asking, basically, her daughter took her life 16 months ago. Was
Yes.
this in her contract? Was it meant to be? Is she okay? This person feels stuck and broken. How can she reconcile this nightmare? Please help me, I'm drowning.
All right. Well, take a deep breath. It's all right. Your daughter is fine. Once in spirit, remember, you see yourself for what you really are, who you've always been. So the idea is that she may have gone through her life review and realized that no, it's not necessarily a part of the contract to commit suicide in the way that most people on your planet commit suicide. The timing of your death is the timing of your death naturally. And committing suicide, in a sense, is a little bit like breaking the agreement. But the idea is that the soul learns from that experience and realizes that may not have been the ideal choice, realizes they may simply have not ever had the information required for them to make a different choice. But they're perfectly fine, absolutely eternal and indestructible, going through the life review to realize they could have done things in a different way, experiencing the effect that their suicide and the choices that they made to commit suicide have had on other people, including you, and therefore sending you love and letting you know that they may, in a sense, be sorry that they did that, for it was not their intention to make you experience the idea of grief over their commission of suicide. And now they know, in a sense, better from a different perspective, that that may not necessarily have been the ideal choice for them to make. But they send you love, unconditional love. They want you to know they are fine. You will meet them again. Again, everyone meets everyone. And again, they are learning a lesson that will allow them to make more positive choices in the future. So they're perfectly fine. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to let go of the grief, because the grief can get in the way of receiving communications and messages from your daughter to let you know she is perfectly fine.
Okay, and this question is, how is there such a thing as non-existence? Does anything not exist, or does everything exist? Is there nothing that doesn't exist? Does everything I can think of, every wild and ridiculous scenario, exist simultaneously in a parallel universe?
Yes, non-existence does not exist by definition. That's its quality, to not exist. That which exists cannot become non-existent because non-existence doesn't exist. So there's nowhere for that which exists to go. The idea of every wild idea you have being a reality somewhere, yes, that's true, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a reality that is similar to your reality. Even the very idea that someone may have a wild idea and render it as a piece of artwork means it exists in some way, shape, or form. Even if it exists in another form other than an actual expression of a living being, it still exists. So the idea is it exists in whatever is relevant for it to exist according to its own logic, its own context. But anything you can imagine in some way, shape, or form exists. It doesn't mean it's real in the same context that you consider yourself to be real, but it's real in the sense that it does exist in some form that's relevant for its context, for its reality. So even if it's something exists as an idea, even if something exists as a cartoon, it still exists in its own context. It doesn't mean it's flesh and blood like you are. But you cannot imagine non-existence. So everything you imagine does somehow, in some way, in some form, exists. And again, nothing that exists can become non-existent because non-existence by definition doesn't exist. That's its quality, to not exist.
This person had this dream, and in the dream, they were with some grays, and they were laughing and chatting about how scared the human race is of them. I remember telling them that they are great beings and there's nothing to be afraid of. Was this an actual interaction with them in the astral realm?
Yes.
Okay.
There is no more to be said. Yes, is the answer.
Okay. This question is, during a deep meditation moment where I was in an endless library of information, I encountered another human that is well known, and we acknowledged each other's presence. Is it possible to encounter another human that may be aligning with the same frequency as you in a given moment?
Yes, of course. That's what it's all about. It's all about resonance. It's all about frequency. Someone who has an interest in similar things to you can wind up in a similar frequency and you can cross paths with them, especially in the idea of other realms and other dimensions that are relevant for both of you to be experiencing